Hello guys, another episode of Movie Theater Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about Avengers Endgame. Now I'm going to say it's going to be incredibly hard to talk about this movie without getting into spoilers, so I'm going to start with the basics like I usually do, and like my base overall summary of the game itself, like some of the things I like, and then I'm going to get into spoilers with it. Now, I watched this movie the first weekend it came out, Sunday, the first weekend it came out. With these episodes, I like to get them out, like, ASAP, but sometimes I need a bit to let the movie sink in a little before I can really talk about it properly. But yeah, let's start with it. It's released this year, 2019. It's rated PG-13, and it's 3 hours long. It's the longest Marvel movie to date, and I can't imagine any movies getting any longer than 3 hours. By the way, I watched it, and personally, I did not feel a minute of that length. It didn't feel like a 3-hour movie to me. The movie has 9.0 out of 10 on IMDb so far, and it has 272,000-ish votes, and then 78% on Metacritic with about 56 critics. It stars, we all know Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and all of them. And they've been in other Marvel stuff too. And it's directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, the Russo brothers, who first did debut on the Winter Soldier movie. The movie has 95% on Rotten Tomatoes with 424 critics and 91% by audience. That's about 3,300 audience-ish people. And the critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes is that exciting, entertaining, and emotionally impactful, Avengers Endgame does whatever it takes to deliver a satisfying finale to Marvel's epic Infinity Saga. The movie's badass. there's not much I can. The movie kind of has a surrealist feel for me. It kind of felt like you can't believe this is happening in this world. In this world with all these characters, you can't believe this is happening to them. And it's kind of surreal because it's like, this doesn't feel right. This feels off. And I like that feeling because it feels like things need to go back. There needs to be a fix. This can't be the final thing. And yeah. And it's not really a spoiler to say that, of course, they're superheroes. It's a superhero movie. The heroes usually win. So that much you guys can get into, but how in all those details we'll get into a little bit in spoilers. But I'm going to say, first let's talk about the acting's fantastic, of course. The acting's impressive. And it's very emotionally impactful to the acting. This is probably the most, this in Infinity War, in Civil War 2, is some of the most impactful Marvel, emotionally impactful Marvel movies, really. And this one, these two are a bit emotionally impactful, but this one, I think, actually a bit more, because this movie is actually very dialogue-driven, believe it or not. There's action. The last act is an action extravaganza, of course, but the movie's actually pretty dialogue-driven the first movie, Infinity War, had a lot more action. I kind of compare these two to the Kill Bill movies, where the first Kill Bill movie has a lot of action in it, and the second one's a bit more dialogue-driven. That's kind of the same thing here, too. Even though the climax to this movie has a lot more action than the one in Kill Bill. But yeah, let's start. Acting's great. Direction's fantastic. The writing's solid too, but I will say that they really, really tried for that emotional impactfulness, and they did a great job with that. It does have quite a few humorous moments, but it seems like they're kind of focused a bit more on the emotion in this one than the comedy. It felt like the comedy was a bit like, here's some jokes, but here's this kind of thing. Although you're still gonna chuckle a fair amount. Too. The atmosphere is pretty great. Like I mentioned, the tone of the film, everything feels a bit off. And as they slowly started fixing things, it started to feel a bit better. Like, the uneasiness starts to fade. And yes, there are Avengers who do die. The ones that do die are very big members, which I wanted. This is freaking Endgame. Okay, I wanted to see some deaths. Now, everyone has their own theories on and preferences on who should probably die, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the people they do choose to die, I think, made sense. Let's see, acting, directing, writing, cinematography. I like in this film a lot. They do a great job. The production, they do a great job because they do a good job with what they choose to do for the Avengers to solve their problem, and the way they execute it I thought was real down. I'll get to details in the spoilers. But yeah, overall it's a great movie. I recommend checking out. Is it the best Avengers movie? Pretty close. My favorite Avengers movie such far has been my favorite Marvel movie overall so far has been the first Avengers movie. Civil War was a close second, but this one might be, I might have to think about it for a bit, but this one might be my favorite. And a lot of it is not because it's and a lot of it is just because of, a lot of reasons why I picked the first movie is what it represented. And I think how I'm choosing this one is kind of the same way as what it represents. Like, the first Avengers movie kind of represents what the Marvel Universe can be. This movie kind of represents, like, the finishing move of that. So yeah, now let's talk about spoilers. Okay, first off, it starts off with, first off, let's go over who dies. Alright, so Black Widow dies in this. And she dies, basically what happens, there's a time travel element. Ant-Man comes back. He felt like he was only in the quantum realm for 5 hours, was actually 5 years. Because there's a time jump in the first 5 minutes of the movie, 5 years after the Avengers find Thanos and kill him. When he told them that they can't get the Infinity Stones, he destroyed them. So they kill him. They go back to Earth 5 years later. The Avengers are in ruins. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And that's various details and jokes that I won't get into in this. I'm going to keep this the bare bones. And Ant-Man comes back, and he says, let's try time travel through the quantum realm, because the way the quantum realm works. And they do it. And they make it all work and everything. And they do it to get the Infinity Stones before Thanos gets them. They go to various timelines where they get them. Like New York during the first Avengers movie, the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor 2, and that kind of thing where the Infinity Stones were. But basically, in order for them to get the Soul Stone, they didn't realize this, though. That's the thing, but the people went to get the Soul Stone was Black Widow and Hawkeye. And they fought over who should sacrifice himself, and Black Widow sacrificed herself to get the Soul Stone. Now, a lot of people may have problems with this, because everyone wanted a Black Widow movie, and seeing her die, no. So, with a Black Widow movie has been rumored to come out, so a lot of people think it's probably going to be a prequel movie. Now, it's tough. But in all honesty, that is probably the character that you could get away with killing like that. Because she was an original member. There was no one tying her together. She had no family besides the Avenger team. She had no love interest. Her and Bruce Banner had been estranged for many years. And there's really nothing holding her back. And it's kind of her character coming full circle. And this is kind of her way of... I don't know. It fits. It sucks that they killed her off, but in all honesty, who else are you going to kill off? I mean, all the other characters have someone tied to. You know, I mean, you can't kill off like any. Yeah, you can't do it. I mean, Black Widow's the only one that makes sense to do that with, by default, really. So that worked. And then the climax happens. We get the stones. They have a homemade Infinity Gauntlet. Hulk tries to use it. Now, the whole Hulk thing's a bit strange in this film because apparently between in the 5-year span, Bruce Banner and Hulk kind of become one. So it's Bruce Banner's personality and voice and Hulk's body, kind of. It's kind of a mix mash. It's kind of hinted at that posters and stuff that's the case, but yeah, that's kind of what happens there, and he's like that for pretty much the whole movie. I don't mind it. I thought it was well done, for the most well done, really. But yeah, he tries using it, and he just quite couldn't get it. That's the thing. To handle something like that power requires immediate strength, and it can be pretty, and it can hurt you too if you're not strong enough. It could kill you. So they tried that, and the climax happens. The climax is fantastic. Oh yeah, well, Hulk does handle it long enough for him to use it to snap things back to normal, but Thanos comes in through the timeline, because Thanos from the past finds out they're time traveling, so it comes to the present, and he tries to get it back. The stone's back and everything. So there's this huge fight for a bit. Then all the other Avengers that were gone in a snap are transported by Doctor Strange for the climax, and they all fight Thanos and his army, and then Infinity Gauntlet, and then Iron Man finally gets it, and he snaps Thanos and his army out of existence, but it kills him in the process, and his death was very, very well done. So Black Widow and Iron Man die in this movie, and everyone was kind of between Iron Man and Captain America. I kind of like that they picked Iron Man, because Iron Man's kind of, even though they were both in Phase 1, Iron Man's kind of been in more, and he's been more surrounded in the MCU. And it fits, because Robert Downey Jr. is getting old, and I feel like he's kind of wants to... It's a great choice, and it's done very well, and I thought it was a very well done choice and everything. And then at the end, his funeral scene was perfect. The kid from Iron Man 3, the little kid, he's there. And all the other superheroes and everyone's there. And it's nicely done. It's well paced. It doesn't drag. It's perfect, and I love it. And that's what frickin' Batman vs. Superman, when they killed... Spoiler in case you didn't see Batman vs. Superman, but they kill Superman in the climax out of nowhere. And the problem with that, though, I'll talk about quickly, is that there's no heroes. It's only Batman and Wonder Woman are at the funeral. When Batman died in the comics, Superman died in the comics, literally everyone was there. It was like a superhero extravaganza to pay respects to this great hero. And in that movie, it's just two freaking people, two freaking heroes. What the hell? And in this one... This is what it's done right, is when you do it when the universe is at least established, so you have a good amount of heroes there to pay their respects. That's what makes it great. And then the final twist in the emotional feels is they send Captain America back to put all the Infinity Stones where they were at before. The time travel thing is a little funky in this. They explained it early that it's not quite like the movies, but they don't really... Like movies and TV shows, it kind of acts differently. It makes sense when I watch the movie, but after, when I start really thinking about how things work, I felt like, okay, these things make sense. I just need to make them all click in my head. But yeah, he sends back to put the stones back in their place, so their disappearance doesn't permanently affect the timeline. And they try to send him back, but he doesn't come back. But instead, he actually stays in the past and goes back to Peggy. And then he's there as an old man, and he passes on his... And then there's this... It's a beautifully done scene of him and Falcon talking. And Bucky's there too, but Bucky doesn't really talk to Cap. I assume that it's more of a him and Falcon Sam Wilson thing, and I actually kind of like that. I feel like with Bucky, him and Bucky are kind of in the same ship, so you don't really need to see them talk, and they don't really need to talk either, because they both kind of get it. They're both kind of in the same boat. And some people were wondering, because there was foreshadowing throughout the MCU in that stage of Bucky becoming Captain America after Steve. But it looks like it's actually going to be Falcon who's going to carry on the Captain America mantle, and that's a more of a newer thing. And I actually don't mind that, because with Bucky was in the same boat as Captain America, and he's been through just as much as Captain America has. And I felt like I think Steve felt that Bucky, and plus I don't think Bucky wanted it either. I think Bucky was just as much done as Steve was as being a hero and being all up in it, really. And I don't think he wanted to carry on the Captain America mantle, because it might have not been him, and I think he just didn't want that to carry that weight with him. And it makes sense for Sam, because Sam is younger. He hasn't experienced nearly as much weight on him as Steve and Bucky. And plus Bucky kind of has a lot of inner demons too, and Sam is a bit more, he has more of his shit together. And I think Bucky kind of wants to retire just as much as Steve does, although there is supposed to be a Bucky and Sam superhero show on a Disney streaming service. So we'll see what happens there, but I like that Sam got it. I think it makes sense for Sam to get it, because Bucky really, I think Bucky kind of, I think Bucky just doesn't really, it's not really Bucky's thing, and I think both him and Steve know that it wasn't really his thing to begin with, that he really shouldn't be the one to carry the torch, really, because of various factors. But yeah, so he's old, and he lived a full life with Peggy, and he's done too. He didn't die, but he's pretty much done, and I like that too. So yeah, this movie was fantastic. I'm going on for almost 20 minutes, where these videos are usually not that long, but I had a lot to talk about this movie. And I think this movie was fantastic. I think it puts a cap to the Infinity Saga. Now I'm curious on what the next 3 phases will be. Phase 4, 5, and 6. Because Infinity Saga is really the big thing in MCU, is really that. So I'm kind of wondering what more they could do. There's other great team villains that they could do, other than Thanos. But they're going to have to get a little creative, because Iron Man and Captain America, those are like the signature Marvel characters, and you're putting them, they're pretty much gone now. And now you're going to have a lot of these signature team villains without Iron Man and Captain America. It's going to be a little different, but I'm kind of looking forward to see what they do. But yeah, it's a great movie. Check it out in theaters. It's going to be there for a while. You won't regret it. It's an awesome movie. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.